The night was heavy with humidity, the African jungle alive with the distant cries of animals, the rustle of leaves, and the low thrum of an aircraft engine cutting through the canopy above. A NATO special operation was underway, designed to rescue hostages and dismantle an enemy stronghold hidden deep within hostile territory. The mission was meant to be precise and swift, but the dense jungle, unpredictable terrain, and scattered ambushes had turned it into a battle for survival. Among the soldiers leading the charge was a U.S. Army officer, a woman whose reputation for courage had spread across the ranks. She had led men into fire before, but what awaited her this night would push her beyond every test she had ever endured. As the team advanced through thick vines and swampy ground, the radio crackled with desperate voices from the aircraft circling above. The plane, packed with supplies, reinforcements, and communication equipment, had taken enemy fire from anti-aircraft weapons hidden in the jungle. Flames had licked at its engines, smoke pouring across the night sky, and the pilot struggled to maintain altitude. If it crashed in enemy hands, not only would lives be lost, but crucial technology could fall into dangerous possession. The officer, crouching beneath the thick cover of massive trees, realized instantly that the mission had doubled in intensity: save her soldiers on the ground, secure the aircraft in the sky, and somehow survive the chaos that surrounded them. Gunfire erupted from the east, enemy fighters emerging from the shadows with rifles and rocket launchers, their shouts echoing through the canopy. The officer's heart pounded, but her voice stayed calm as she directed her unit, pushing them into cover, returning fire with precision. She moved like a phantom through the trees, rifle at her shoulder, her eyes never losing track of her team. A young soldier froze under the hail of bullets, panic seizing him, but she leapt forward, pulled him down into the mud, and shielded him with her body until the firing paused. Then, with a firm shove, she commanded him to get back to formation. Her leadership wasn't just about tactics, it was about giving courage where fear threatened to consume. Above them, the aircraft roared, descending lower as the pilot fought for control. Over the headset, the voice of the co-pilot was strained, announcing that they had only minutes before they would be forced to crash land. The officer weighed the impossible decision. If they couldn't reach the open clearing ahead, the aircraft would go down in dense jungle, trapping everyone inside. She ordered half of her squad to continue pushing toward the stronghold while she and a small team raced toward the clearing, guiding the damaged plane with coordinates relayed through broken radio static. Sweat stung her eyes as she pushed through thorns and uneven ground, her boots sinking into marshy soil. The air smelled of gunpowder, smoke, and wet earth. Her lungs burned, but she didn't slow down. Enemy fighters tracked the aircraft as well, firing tracer rounds that lit up the night sky. She positioned her soldiers, giving cover fire, shouting above the chaos for the pilot to hold steady. The plane dipped dangerously, branches snapping off trees as the wingtips grazed the canopy. She knew if the nose caught the ground at the wrong angle, it would explode on impact. At the last moment, she spotted a clearing barely wide enough for the aircraft. She grabbed the flare gun strapped to her vest, raised it high, and fired a red streak into the air. The light illuminated the jungle in an eerie glow, showing the pilot exactly where to aim. Her voice came steady over the radio: "Bring her down here. You can make it, trust me." Those words, simple yet filled with conviction, gave the pilot enough strength to push through. The aircraft slammed into the clearing, its landing gear tearing through soil and stone, sparks flying as metal scraped earth. The noise was deafening, the ground trembling as trees snapped and flames burst from the engines. She sprinted forward without hesitation, waving her team to follow. The crash had left the aircraft vulnerable, smoke pouring out as ammunition inside threatened to detonate. Enemy fighters surged toward the wreck, determined to capture or destroy what remained. She rallied her soldiers, forming a defensive line around the smoldering fuselage, shouting commands over the din of battle. Grenades exploded, bullets ripped through leaves, and the night became a storm of fire and survival. One by one, she pulled the wounded crew from the wreckage, ignoring the searing heat and the choking smoke. A co-pilot with a broken leg, a technician bleeding heavily from his shoulder, another soldier too dazed to move, all dragged to safety by her hands. Even as enemy fighters pressed closer, she refused to leave anyone behind. Her rifle emptied, she picked up another. Her body moved with raw instinct, her mind fixed on a single mission: keep them alive. The battle stretched on for what felt like hours, though only minutes passed. Reinforcements from the NATO force finally broke through the trees, pushing back the enemy with a wall of firepower. The officer, exhausted and covered in dirt and blood, stood tall among her soldiers, her chest heaving but her eyes sharp. Around her lay the wrecked aircraft, its crew alive, her soldiers battered but breathing. The jungle was littered with smoke, the smell of victory bitter and heavy. When silence finally returned, broken only by the crackle of flames and the distant cries of the night, her soldiers looked at her not just as a leader but as the reason they were alive. She had risked everything: her life, her strength, her sanity, to save them. For her, it wasn't about glory or recognition. It was about duty, about standing between death and the men and women she led. As dawn broke over the jungle, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, the survivors prepared to move again, their mission not yet over. But in their hearts, they carried the unshakable memory of that night, the night their officer defied fear, defied chaos, and pulled life out of certain death. It was a story that would be told again and again, not as legend, but as truth, a testament to what one soldier's courage could mean in the darkest hour.